What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Movie Emporium's TV review of the Disney Plus original series, What If Season 2. This, of course, will follow if Iron Man crashed into the Grandmaster. Okay, so I didn't know what I was going to think about this episode when I was watching it, to be fairly honest. About 5 minutes into it, I'm like, this isn't a very good Christmas episode. Then it kind of got awesome. Then it just became cool. It's a very interesting episode where basically what would happen if Iron Man never went through the portal, instead teleported to Sakaar and met the Grandmaster, voiced by Jeff Goldblum. So with that said, this is a very Mad Max, very Spartacus type of episode where basically the Grandmaster meets Tony Stark, who's not voiced by Robert Downey Jr., and he is also being chased after by Gamora because he, of course, destroyed the Chitauri ship with the nuclear bomb. And so basically, Gamora chases after and tries to kill Tony Stark. The Grandmaster, of course, uses Tony Stark and Gamora to do a race. And yeah, it's quite the episode. Of course, Taika Waititi comes back as Korg, and the death race style episode is pretty cool. I love how cars are, they're built kind of like the Mad Max world or Death Race or something like that. Everybody dies, everybody explodes. Like the way people cheers, they throw these little squeaky creatures or rodents at the crowd or at the race and stuff like that. I like there's a big gigantic creature that was supposed to look, eventually be eventually be Hulk, but it's just this gigantic creature that you would see in a Star Wars movie. It's overall just a very weird episode, to be fairly honest, which was what Thor Ragnarok was. But it's great to see Jeff Goldblum back as, of course, the Grandmaster. He has quips for everything. He's very very evil, but also very outlandish in his talk and stuff like that. And what also makes it great is just he calls Tony Stark Metal Mojo Man or something like that, which is pretty funny. And it also brings back Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie, and this definitely feels like a what if Thor Ragnarok was actually Tony Stark Ragnarok or Iron Man Ragnarok. And it's a pretty interesting episode. You learn a little bit more about the fact that Sakaar is having trouble with food and there's famine, and that the Grandmaster doesn't really care about that, and it leads into Tony Stark and how he's kind of changed throughout the years with the with how he's saving New York and how he's trying to save the world. And he ends up doing this when he meets Korg and when he meets Valkyrie, and they decide they're going to take on the Grandmaster. Of course, we have to have our Tony Stark building a suit, kind of like the first Iron Man, which becomes a really cool concept. And yeah, it's pretty crazy when you watch the episode. It really is. I really wasn't expecting it to be very good, to be fairly honest. I was expecting it to be cheesy, and watching it, you go, yeah, it's not Robert Downey Jr. voicing Tony Stark, so it's kind of a spoof of the character, to be fairly honest, when they bring in other actors to do the voice work. But it really worked. It really did. I like the fact that Tony Stark gets shot with a little electrical thing that Thor gets shot with, and then he's able to use this arc reactor to break it off, and then he eventually challenges the Grandmaster, of course, to a race. And I think that's where this episode really works, and it really is. What I was complaining about with the last episode really is interesting and dynamic, is the fact that Tony Stark always has a trick up his sleeve, and this race is that trick is up his sleeve, because he's wearing this really cool Hulkbuster outfit that he found parts and pieces on Sakaar, and he's going to use Korg, he's going to use Valkyrie, they're going to help him with the race, but he has a vehicle, he's wearing the suit, and then when his vehicle gets destroyed, his suit can actually turn into a car. Now, it is a little bit of a cop-out, a cheap-out when it comes to the idea of, winning a race. But with that said, it's a really cool-looking car, and the Grandmaster is doing every trick in the book to stop him and, cheating and doing what the Grandmaster does. And I kind of love it because, Tony Stark uses his wits to beat the Grandmaster, and then at the very end, Gamora is kind of working with Tony Stark, kind of made the realization that Thanos may not be up to snuff. They end up winning, and then the Grandmaster is going to trick, of course, Tony Stark, and then his kind of bodyguard, I guess you could say, comes up Valkyrie runs into her, and the stick that melts people actually it falls out of the car because the two cars are destroyed, and it hits the Grandmaster, and the Grandmaster just melts, and he does a Wizard of Oz melty thing, and it's pretty funny. I think it was really cleverly done because they used Jeff Goldblum to full effect with his like mannerisms and his tics and how he talks and how he acts and walks and stuff like that. And I just love the fact that there's even a small cut scene where he's just melting. He's like, I need a bucket. You gotta mop me up. I'm kind of in a weird place here, and it's pretty funny. But this is like the middle part of a 3-part thing, I guess. I don't know exactly what's going on, but this is the point where why did Gamora become part of the alternate Avengers in a lot of respects, and the Watcher talks about that. But it's also interesting to see that Tony's like Gamora's like, I need to take you to see Thanos because you need to live up for what you did. So they go and they bring that wand with them, and Thanos, of course, voiced by Josh Brolin, says something. Oh, this is the great Tony Stark. And then Gamora like jumps in the air, like similar to like what Valkyrie did or whatever in Thor, and she actually hits Thanos with the pole, and Thanos is just smiling, as he's being like melted or whatever. And it's a really interesting thing because it cuts off there to the credits, so it leads into what is going to be the 3rd episode. It's just really interesting. The things I don't like about this episode are the simple fact that Tony Stark just seems to accept that he's never going to get back to Earth or whatever, and he just kind of goes along with it. And maybe he's happy with the fact that Pepper Potts lived. I don't know, but it's a really weird thing because I guess you're so used to how the MCU was, that when they do this like alternate take of it where Tony Stark's in a different place, he hasn't gone back to Earth, he doesn't seem to be, there's not a lot of PTSD going on, which is really strange because that whole bomb situation was all PTSD driven. I don't know if he's just in the moment, he's not able to sit down and understand what's going on. I don't know, but I thought that was a little odd. But overall, it's a really fun episode. It's actually a cool kind of episode to release on Christmas, which once again, I thought if they had done the Happy Hogan episode, that may have been like a little bit better. But here, I think this is ambitious. I think what they're doing is ambitious, and I think it's an interesting thing that is actually the best of the series, to be fairly honest, because it's such a fascinating kind of fun thrill ride that involves a character that was actually quite beloved in Thor Ragnarok, and then brings in Tony Stark, and then adds in the rest of the Thor characters and does something with it, and has that Mad Max Death Race style world. And you get to see a little bit, like I said, the kind of nature and kind of plight of what Sakaar is going through, and the fact that Valkyrie is going to help change it and possibly get these people food because they're all starving to death. That's why there's no rotten food anywhere and stuff like that. And that's why they're all eating people. And it's really fascinating. I really enjoyed it. I give it a 9.5 out of 10 because it's, as much as I wish Zoe Saldana and Robert Downey Jr. voiced their characters, I think the two actors that did a pretty nice job. And it leads to a possible 3rd episode in the 3rd season, most likely, that could really have some interesting ramifications if they were kind of do their own thing with it, similar like the Marvel Zombies episode or something like that. So overall, I enjoyed it. I think it's worthy of a really good episode of a TV series. So with that said, that's going to be my take on the Iron Man clashes into the Grandmaster. So there you go. Comments below, what did you think of the episode? Did you enjoy it as much as I did? If not, it is what it is, but tell me what you think. Otherwise, if you like what you see on this channel, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell, top the fun's coming next. If you like this video, awesome. Hit that like button, and Merry Christmas, everyone. We'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out.